Recording.
Okay?
Yep.
You're recording?
We are recording.
Okay. What is the measure of an unedited thought? Well, here it is. This unedited thought, you know of diamonds, silver, and gold. The order is not important, but they are like getting there, the trip and the return. The getting there is not the trip, the vacation, nor the notion in a daydream or a nightmare for that matter. The getting there is part of the journey through life we all experience. We can divide it into segments, sections, stages, progressions, and even transformations. Rarely is a journey, or the getting there part, identified as such, for immediate circumstances overwhelm the potential of growing consciousness, especially in the youth of adult experience. It is in my heart that the getting there starts. I remember every detail, both personal and private, especially the endearing moments. I remember the times, the scenes, the stage set beyond my own control, wherein we all need to find our own way of getting there, however individual conception of choice dictates and forms our moves that act to propel us from one scene to the next, which, in retrospect, become the life lived and perhaps the life examined in time. Here is the specific. The getting there only lasted a few weeks. Weekend leaves at the end of the academic year, coupled with 2 weeks of vacation before shipping out. The trip itself was 2 months of naval training on the Pacific Ocean. Ironically, it was the return that mattered most, not the getting there or the trip. Call the getting there falling in love, for that is exactly what it was. On a Saturday night, I was standing beside an Indian. He resembled Dr. Zhivago. We stood at the Zinc Bar in the bistro on Mountain Street. We were both looking at 2 ladies seated at a table that included 2 vacant chairs. Ramesh gave me a look that said, "Let us occupy those empty chairs." We were all newfound company. The conversation flowed freely. Ramesh was a graduate student in mathematics. He came to Montreal on his own. It was an act of defiance against parental wishes that he should manage the family import-export business branch in New York City and wait for his parents to send him a suitable bride from home in Bombay. It was only years later, on a chance encounter in Place Bonaventure, that I met Ramesh again, in the company of his English wife and red-haired daughter. He had tenure at the university. He had followed his own heart. He looked happy. However, this was supposed to be my journey. I was young and definitely inexperienced in all practical aspects of social intercourse. At 18, at the end of my second year of university, preoccupation with studies had been my only priority. This night in the bistro was the start of getting there, cutting loose, taking a chance on a stirring of the heart. It was like a message written in the stars for all time, and I had just paused to realize that the message was there all along. 2 young ladies seated at a table were both in their mid-20s. Both came from Germany. Both had lived in Paris before coming to Montreal. Both implied they had left love affairs behind. Hildegard and Beth were out on the town tonight. Their first night of freedom after being cloistered for 2 months in a downtown hotel where this day they both had graduated from the Air Canada stewardess training course. More important to Ramesh and I was the engaging conversation that followed. Later Ramesh said he would rather speak with Beth. Hildegard became more charming with every word that left her mouth. By the time my vacation began, I would meet Hildegard at the Place Ville-Marie every time she returned from a flight. Soon she had transatlantic flights, which pleased her, but which also increased the length of her absences and decreased the amount of time we could spend together. By the time it was necessary for me to fly to Vancouver, we were close. We slept together in her tiny apartment on Durashi Street in the area beside McGill University and Royal Victoria Hospital. Both of these places were to play an important part in my life during the years that followed. Yes, we grew close in a very short period of time. In the natural course of events, we would have become lovers in every sense. The day I had to catch a plane and be on my way for 2 months interfered. During that time, I would call Hildegard every chance I had, from Vancouver, from Victoria, Seattle, San Diego, San Francisco, and yes, even Juneau in Alaska. On 2 occasions, I was lucky to find her at home. We'd speak for a few minutes until my supply of coins ran out. During the training, on the actual trip, as it were, I learned to navigate by the stars. I was steadfast in the certainty that my own personal star was waiting for me in Montreal. Yes, there were small adventures on the side, new places to explore, but not the romantic kind. Many new ideas about how things work led me to think there was so much out there completely new to me. An important novel notion was the dichotomy of impressions about the Navy as such. There was a romantic version of traveling the world. There was a professional side of regimented military life. I realized the latter was not exactly my style. The day arrived when I found myself back in Montreal. I knocked on Hildegard's door. The door opened and I stepped inside. The reader can imagine what happened next. And normally I would have ended here, but not to leave the reader's feathers ruffled, a note of explanation follows. Hildegard did not leave a failed love affair in Paris. Her boyfriend was Swiss. He returned home for mandatory military service. Then Hildegard came to Montreal. If he truly loved her, he would follow. He did. In the big scheme of things, we're really talking about a part of the whole, where we go between birth and death, the journey of thousands of faces.